All right, guys, so today we're going to look at how to calculate the slope of a line when you are not given the points, and also the y-intercept and writing the equation. All right, so the mathematical term for the steepness is known as slope, and we use the formula y equals mx plus b. Now, remember that the m stands for slope, the b stands for y-intercept, and x and y stand for the points on the graph. Today, all you really need to know is the m and the b. All right, so when you are looking at the graph to get the slope, you are trying to find points that cross whole number x and y values. So if I'm looking at the graph, I can see this point here, and here. So I can see 4 points that cross evenly. All the other points are in between a number, meaning that I would be guessing what that number is. It's going to be some decimal, but I'm not exactly sure what it is. So let's say like I chose this point on the graph here. Now I know that it's somewhere between 3 and 4. Could be 3.5, could be like 3.4, but I don't really know what it is, and I'm not going to guess what it is. So again, whole number values. All right, once I identify the points, I'm going to calculate the rise and run. So let's say that I choose to use this point and this point. Right, my rise is 1, 2, 3. Then I go over 1. So the slope of this line is 3 over 1, which would simplify to 3. The y-intercept is where your graph crosses on the y-axis. So remember that the y-axis is the vertical axis. This is your y-axis. So I'm looking for where the graph crosses on the y, and the graph crosses at this point here. So the y-intercept of the graph would be -4. And now I'm going to write my equation. So we have y equals mx plus b. I'm going to plug in the slope for m. So y equals 3x plus -4. More than likely, you're going to see the double sign not there. So you would see it as 3x minus 4. All right, next example. Let's pick 2 points that cross evenly on the x and y. We just need 2 of them. So I see this one and I see this one. Now, you might see several other points that cross evenly, but for this one, I'm just going to pick 2. All right, I see that the line is decreasing from left to right, so that we know that the slope is going to be negative. And I have to count down 1, 2. So we have -2. And I count over 1, 2, 3, 4. So down 2 over 4. So we have -2/4, which is also going to simplify to -1/2. Now, the reason that the slope is -1/2, so let's go back to this first point I picked. And it says that I'm going down 1, so let's say I counted down 1, and I counted over 2, 1, 2. Oh, that brings me to another point on my graph. Now, if I counted down 1, and over 2 again, that brings me to another point on the graph. If I count down 1 and over 2 again, I get to another point on the graph. So this is simply telling me that from any point that I cross evenly, I count down 1 and over 2. All right, the y-intercept is where you cross on the y-axis. So looking at this, I can see that the line crosses here. So the y-intercept is positive 3. And now we're going to write our equation. So y equals, the slope is negative 1/2 x, and the y-intercept is positive 3, so plus 3. Pause the video, try numbers 3, 4, and 5 on your own, and then press play to see if you get the correct answers. All right, so check your answers for 3, 4, and 5, and 3 should actually be plus 5. If you didn't get them right, try to figure out what you did wrong, or come see me for extra help. All right, so for number 6, we're asked to find the slope of multiple points, but they are all on the same line. So for letter A, it says the slope of A and E. Right, so from A to E, we count the rise and the run. And from A to E is going to be 12 over 4, which simplifies to 3. Right, from B to C, which is 3 over 1, which also simplifies to 3. And from B to D, which gives us 6 over 2, which also simplifies to 3. All right, the next question says, what do you notice about the slopes in letters A through C? So in A, B, and C, we got a slope of 3 for everything. So they all have the same slope. So based on this information, what conclusion can you make about finding the slope of a line using 2 points? And this goes back to what I said earlier. So you can choose any 2 points on the graph as long as they cross whole number values.